Yeah, I still have some changes that I need to make on it as far as shaping the piece. The movement isn't the way that I want it to be. This through here is a strong shape, but what happens is your eye dwells on it and it stops there, and the piece should be moving and not stopping in one spot. So I need to alter the shape here and give it more movement. So it's not achieving what I want it to achieve. So let's see. And then this big thing here is too heavy and clunky, so I'll shape this coming down like this to give it so it's not so clunky. So I'll cut those off.
So this table is nearly entirely one piece of wood.
It's close to one piece of wood. I had to add one piece to this leg here. As you remember, this was a root section coming down here, and this area just wasn't long enough. But if I were to shorten it, I would lose a lot of the shape on these, so I added that piece right there to that leg. As I plane the two surfaces so they match perfectly, glue, and then lag bolted in. Changing just a few elements on a shape, you can really change the dynamics of a piece. See how much better that is there now?
It's very elegant.
One of the pieces to get movement going like that, and it was stopping there. So
and it does now.
Yeah, now it does. That's why I had to change that. It wasn't that it was a bad shape, it just didn't do what it needed to do for the piece. All the lines, all the planes, because they all add up to making your final statement, how much, what you want, what kind of movement you want. So everything you have to pay attention to. What I'm going to do here is finish flattening this out with the die grinder and finish the edges with the chisel so that I finish this plane out and it merges into the top of the table. What I have to do here is to refine this edge here so that I refine the surface and the rest of the flat surface here, and then plane this in here with the die grinder. See how important it is to a piece like this, to making a sculpture having these negative spaces.
This hole is lovely. It's very deep. It's like a knoll in a tree or something.
Yeah, yeah. The depth of it makes it nice too, because even the depth varies. This one's a shallower hole.
Yeah.
This is a deep hole. Yeah, that's the thing that's nice about you working on 4 pieces at one time, is because I'll do the rough carving and then I kiln dry them and then I come back. And I'm working on 4 at one time, so I can move between them, because sometimes I don't know what to do to a piece, and I can, just let it register for a few days or a week, and then I come and I know what to do to make it move. Now it looks like a roadrunner. Now it looks like the bird I saw in the Arizona desert.
So these plugs are hiding the bolts that join these 2 pieces of wood on the diagonal here.
Yeah, in this case these are legs. I used 4 lag bolts to join this because there was a very large glue area. So I figured the legs would be fine. And through bolts in this would have been very difficult. And again, it's an oval, so see I have pencil marks that match so I know where to put this back into. So now I'll cut it off.
So using this very flexible blade instead of an actual saw, you can take the curve.
Yeah, I can make it go to the curve of the table, but also it's really a metal blade, so it's really fine toothed, and I won't be jerking the plug too much. It's really tight in there, and it's a good fit. But if you use too coarse of a blade, of a sawtooth, it might jerk it out. Okay. And that's close enough that I can just chisel. I really don't need to use the die grinder. This just tells how this is constructed is all. I'm not trying to hide that part. It's two separate pieces, and in order to join them, you can see I needed to have two flat parallel planes, because this had to fit onto here. So I tried to make these two surfaces parallel with these two surfaces, because it has to fit together perfectly in order to bolt and glue it.
So there's a join, it's almost invisible.
Yeah, so the most difficult part of this was not the one join, but you have a second join that has to match. This side I through bolted, and that'll get plugged. And then this one, you don't see anything coming through here. See, I had a thicker area of wood, and I had a more difficult problem. The through bolting wouldn't have worked, because I had to go through at an angle. If I'd gone straight, I would have had to bolt out in the air here. So I had to start here and go through at an angle, and I had, fortunately, quite a bit of wood here for a lag to hold into. So I lag bolted this one and glued it. So I'll lay in what I'm going to do to the shape, and then I'll cut it out with a chainsaw. But by doing that, it gives the whole piece a balance and movement. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to refine the design. See this line right here, if I change it and come in here, it'll give the whole shape more movement. That improved the design. It made it move more.
So what's your other project here?
The next project is I'm going to thin up one of the legs.
Starting to look graceful. Nice.
Yeah, it's starting to get a better design movement to it. The one thing I can do with this saw, because it cuts wood so much slower, is I can, when the wood's dry, it really tears. And so with that saw that cuts more quickly, it tears the wood. That's the advantage of working with green wood, it doesn't tear. But now it's tearing and chunks out. So this saw, since it removes wood so much more slowly, it will clean that up and it won't tear so much. Now the thickness is good that way, it has good movement that way. And I'll take a little bit, you can see here, I can take a little bit off of right here, I think. So I need to get a little variation in the width. It's moving, but I need some variation in the width. So I have to decide where I'm going to change that. And probably it would be best to change it in this rather than here, and then get thick. It'd probably be better to change it here. I have to take into consideration getting as much movement as I can, and that I keep the integrity and the strength of the wood.
Now will you do that to each of the legs a little bit?
I'll do that to each of the legs. Yeah. By getting a leg here that's sculptural and moves, it'll give the top more movement too. So then the whole table starts moving as one one piece of sculpture. Originally, before I put this in the kiln, this join was perfectly flat and it fit together. But because of the warpage, I have to take it apart again now and refine this so it fits perfectly together. Then I'll be able to use the level and flatten any planes again that have warped, get them flat. Like for example, you can see here where it's warped up. I have to flatten that out. I have one area that I haven't flattened out, so I have to take that down so that it planes with the rest of all of this. So that after I'm done, each one of these levels is flat and relative to each other, they're parallel. Cross-hatching on this because it'd be really easy to lose the flatness. So I don't go for the whole thing at once. So you can see I still have to go down here probably a quarter inch. So now I'll run a cross-hatch through here so that, because I've already established that as a straight line. See, by using this technique, I give myself guidance areas. So now I can start working these areas off because I have these guidance areas here. All I'm doing is I'm going to my original cross-hatching there and matching. Okay, now we'll check and see how close I am.
It looks like an amazing landscape.
So see, you can see I'm very, very close. Probably within a 1/16 of an inch. And you can see that that's pretty parallel with this plane here.
Yeah.
And it's quite parallel with this plane. It's a little bit high here, but that's what I'm showing. I left it a little high so that I could work it down more gradually.